Hello National 5 historians and welcome to the next presentation on your National 5 inquiry skills. Now again, just another reminder of the different types of questions we have that are split into two groups: knowledge understanding and source handling. In the knowledge understanding you have the describe question, which is worth 4 marks, the explain question, which is worth 6 marks, and the mini essay question, which is worth 9 marks. In the source handling you have the source comparison, which is worth 4 marks, an evaluate the usefulness, which is worth 5 marks, and a how fully question, which is worth 6 marks. Now today our focus, as you can see underlined in bold there, is a how fully question, and our Disney mascots for this question are Buzz and Woody. So our aim is by the end of this presentation, Buzz and Woody are aiming for you to know how to answer the two types of how fully questions. So although how fully is one question, within that there's two different types which we'll look at. We're looking to have went over a couple of examples as a class and then to have glued a template into our jotters, and as mentioned in previous presentations, if you don't have a hard copy of this then you can write down the template into your jotter. Now, key information for the how fully question, it's worth 6 marks. Now you'll see here it will either be a how fully does source A explain the reasons why, or how fully does source A describe. Now the difference between these two types of questions, if it's a how fully explain question, then you're just looking to interpret the reason from the source and explanations as recall, and you'll be asked a how fully explain question once in the exam. The other how fully type of question is described, so you will interpret facts from the source and facts as recall, and you'll be asked this twice. Now the purpose of a how fully question is to identify points from the source and then provide points from your own knowledge that the source has missed out. Now, where do you get the 6 marks? Now, to get your 6 marks, you start off by answering the question. So that's where you put your overall judgment at the start. Now, if you don't do that, the most you can get is 2 marks for this question. So that's a really important step. You then try and find up to 3 points from the source. So that's obviously worth 3 marks. And you then need to find up to 4 points from your own knowledge. So that's worth up to 4 marks. Now, as I've just said there, if you do not answer the question or provide points from your own knowledge, you will only be awarded 2 marks. So it's important that you make that overall judgment and you provide points from your own knowledge. Now, how we answer this question. The mnemonic we use to answer this question is AID, and you'll see a first aid box there on the left hand side just above Buzz and Woody. Now, what does AID stand for? The A stands for answer the question. So that is our judgment at the start. So we're going to say the source quite fully explains or quite fully describes and use the wording of the question, but misses out some key points. Then the I stands for includes. So what does the source include? So you've got to include up to 3 points from the source. So the source states, and you can quote from the source, and then you just need to paraphrase that. So put that into your own words. So what does that show us? What does it mean? So which shows that / which means. D stands for doesn't include, so however the source fails to tell us that. Now remember the difference between describe and explain here. Now, see your explain, when it's how fully explain, see your explain recall like 3 points from an explain question. And I'll go over this in more detail when we look at the example. So that's how we answer this question using mnemonic AID. Now, here's some examples. Firstly, we're going to look at one out of context. So, source A explains the reasons why Angus is such a popular destination for tourists. And we have source A which says there are 7 towns in Angus, each with its own attractions and unique character. The fact there are 7 towns offers people the chance to visit different places. Glamis Castle is very popular with its long history and beautiful gardens which attracts visitors. People can also visit Arbroath Abbey, which has strong links to the Wars of Independence. Brecon also has a castle which people can visit too. How fully does source A explain the reasons why Angus is such a popular destination for tourists? And it says here, use the source and recall to reach a judgment, worth 6 marks. So you'll see this is worded, how fully does source A explain? So when it comes to our recall points, we need to explain them. So our answer to this question, this is how it would look. So source A quite fully explains the reasons why Angus is such a popular destination for tourists but misses out some key points. Now we don't get any marks for that, but if we don't do that step, the most that we can get is 2 marks. So it's important to do that at the start. So that's your overall judgment at the start. That's your A. You've answered the question. Now what we're looking for is the I. So what does the source include? So the source states the fact there are 7 towns offers people the chance to visit different places, which shows that Angus offers the people the chance to see different towns. So that's 1 mark from the source there. You've taken the quote and you've explained it. The source states Glamis Castle is very popular with its long history and beautiful gardens which attracts visitors, which shows that one of the best known castles in Scotland is in the area. And our last point from the source states people can also visit Arbroath Abbey, which has strong links to the Wars of Independence, which shows as well as castles, Angus has different attractions like abbeys for people to visit and learn about Scottish history. So that's 3 points that we've taken from the source there. Now for our recall points, we've got here. However, the source fails to tell us that Angus is also a popular destination for tourists because, now you'll see the word in there, that's like you're answering an explain question. It's close to places like Mount Keene, which attracts people who like to see Scotland's landscape and go for walks. The source also fails to tell us that Angus is also a popular destination for tourists because it's home to world famous golf courses like Kirriemuir, which many tourists like to come to and play a game of golf at. And then it also says, the source also fails to tell us that Angus is also a popular destination for tourists because it has beaches like Montrose Beach for tourists to visit and enjoy. So you'll see there your 3 recall points are like points from an explained question. Now here's an example from an exam, which is from the World War I topic, our Scottish topic, and it says Source A explains the reasons why the Great War changed employment opportunities for women. So Source A, the war brought employment opportunities which otherwise would not have been available to women. Wartime recruitment among Glasgow tramway staff meant there were a few men left to run the system. Glasgow was the first city in Britain to employ women tram drivers and conductresses. They were a familiar sight in the green uniforms and long green tartan skirts. Women took over a variety of jobs such as postwomen. One particular factory in Bridgeton employed only war widows. However, women lasted only the length of the war in men's jobs. So how fully does Source A explain the reasons why the Great War changed employment opportunities for women? So, what we have here. Again, when I spoke about using highlighters, you've got points highlighted here from the source which you can use. So we've got the war brought employment opportunities which otherwise would not have been available to women. We've got about the tram drivers. We've got that women took on a variety of jobs such as postwomen, and we've got the point about the factories. So there will always be 4 points in a how fully question in the source that you can use. You just need to identify 3 of them. So our answer would look like this. Source A quite fully explains the reasons why the Great War changed employment opportunities for women, but misses out some key points. The source states the war brought employment opportunities which otherwise would not have been available to women, which shows the war was important in opening up new opportunities for women. The source states Glasgow was the first city in Britain to employ women tram drivers and conductresses, which shows women worked on trams for the first time. The source states women took over a variety of jobs such as postwomen, which shows women took on new roles such as postwomen. So that's 3 points from the source there. Then from your recall, here's the last point that you could use from the source. The source also states women, one particular factory in Bridgeton employed only war widows, which shows women were given the chance to work in factories. So I've said there, remember you can only take 3 points from the source. So that's just the 4 points there, but you'd only need 3 of them to get the 3 marks from the source there. Then, from your own knowledge, however, the source fails to tell us that the Great War also changed employment opportunities for women because the war gave women the chance of a better paid job compared to what they did before. The source also fails to tell us that the Great War also changed employment opportunities for women because the huge expansion of munition industries created a great deal of employment opportunities for women. The source also fails to tell us that the Great War also changed employment opportunities for women because women began to be employed in a range of traditional male jobs, for example, engineering. So you've got 3 points there from your own knowledge which you've explained. You'll see there in the yellow and bold, it's like a phrase, it's like a point from an explain question. Now, this is just an example of a describe how fully. So we've got source A describes the town of Kirriemuir. Source A, I've lived in Kirriemuir all my life. It's a great place with lots to see and do. Kirriemuir is about 5 miles north of Forfar. The creator of Peter Pan, J.M. Barrett, was born in Kirriemuir, and there's a statue of Peter Pan in the middle of the town. Due to its location, Kirriemuir provides a great spot to stop at on your way to the Glens. I would recommend Kirriemuir as a great place to see. How fully does Source A describe the town of Kirriemuir? So again, our answer here. We have Source A quite fully described the town of Kirriemuir, but miss out some key points. The source states Kirriemuir is about 5 miles north of Forfar, which shows how it is close to another major town. The source states the creator of Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie, was born in Kirriemuir, and there's a statue of Peter Pan in the middle of the town, which shows a strong connection with Peter Pan in the town. The source states due to its location, Kirriemuir provides a great spot to stop at on your way to the Glens, which shows it can be a popular stop-off point when going on a walk to the Glens. So there's 3 points from the source. Then for your own knowledge here, you'll see, however, the source fails to tell us Kirriemuir also has a high school called Webster's High School. So that's just a describe recall point there. So you've just given a fact there. You don't need to word that the same as what you would do if it was an explain recall point. The source also fails to tell us there's a junior football team in Kirriemuir that play at Westview Park. The source also fails to tell us there are many local shops in the town centre of Kirriemuir. So there's 3 points from your own knowledge as well. Now here's just an example from an exam paper again. So source A described the experience of slaves during the Middle Passage. This is from our British topic, the Atlantic slave trade. So say when the slave ships arrived, the slaves were quickly taken on board, the men were put in irons and linked two and two together by their hands and feet. The slaves were so crowded below deck that it was impossible to walk through them without treading on them. They had not so much room as a man in a coffin. Overcrowding meant that any diseases or illnesses spread through the slaves quickly. Some slaves who refused food were force-fed. How fully does source A describe the conditions experienced by slaves during the middle passage? This is worth 6 marks. So again, you've got here highlighted points from the source that you can use. So you've got about the slaves being shackled together, about being very crowded, about disease spreading, and about slaves refusing food. So our answer to this question, source A quite fully describes conditions experienced by slaves during the middle passage but misses out some key points. So there's our A. Then for our I, what it includes, the source states the men were put in irons and linked two and two together by their hands and feet, which shows how the men were chained together. The source states the slaves were so crowded below deck that it was impossible to walk through them without treading on them, which shows how overcrowded the ships were. The source states overcrowding meant that any diseases or illnesses spread quickly through the slaves, which shows slaves could end up catching diseases due to the overcrowding that was present. And then you've got the source also states some slaves who refused food were force fed, which shows slaves who didn't accept food would be forcibly given it. So again, there's 4 points here from the source. You only need to take 3 points from the source to get your 3 marks. Then points for your own knowledge. However, the source fails to tell us crews were often cruel towards slaves, for example flogging them or forcing them to dance for entertainment. The source also fails to tell us that female slaves often suffered mistreatment by the crew, particularly sexual abuse. The source also fails to tell us that slaves would be held below deck for long periods of time with little fresh air. So again, you'll see the difference here with your recall points and describe how fully as opposed to an explain how fully. That is just facts that are given for recall. So the template for our jotters, again, if you have a hard copy here, you can glue this in. Remember, aid, answered the question, so the source quite fully explains or quite fully describes, but misses out some key points. Include, so what does the source include? What does it tell us? So the source states, make sure you put the quote, which shows that, which means, so just put a wee explanation after that. And then the D, what it doesn't include, however the source fails to tell us that, and you do that 3 times. And again, remember the difference between describe and explain here. See your explain recall points like 3 points from an explain question. Okay, so let's see with Buzz and Woody if we've achieved our aims today. So our first aim, to know how to answer the 2 types of how fully questions. If you're still not sure, you can go back over the presentation and look again. We should have went over 2 examples of a class. We've went over more than 2 examples of a class of both the how fully describe and the how fully explain, and have glued a template into our jotters or copied a template into our jotters. Okay, thank you.